Greetings, my fellow geothermal students. Jonathan Bowe here, your instructor for NRG 246, Introduction to Geothermal Energy. Got some pretty cool stuff going on. One of the best things that's going on right now is tomorrow's Veterans Day. We need a special tribute for the veterans, don't you think? Yeah, let's do that. Thank you, vets.
I state your name.
I, Bryce Worley,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and I will bear true faith.
and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God.
So help me God.
Awesome. You guys are awesome. This one's very cool. Check this out. What is that red ball? Whoa.
Around the world, around the clock, in defense of all we hold dear back home, America's
Pin on a
Navy.
map, huh? Sweet.
War, call it what we might, but war is the most complex of human endeavors. I've thought a lot about the use of the military instrument of power, and in particular, whether it's more appropriate to be cautious or aggressive with it. When I talk about making strategy in public, it's the recognition that the decisions we make are immediately visible and evident to large numbers of people, and not just at home, but across the globe.
Roger. You guys have security right.
That could take you in one of two directions. You could either become more aggressive, or you can become more cautious about that. I will leave it to historians to decide whether we've become more aggressive or more cautious in the face of this proliferation of awareness and information. When I talk to our elected officials, I talk about options, and I talk about whether we're in a period that requires either a bias for action or a bias for inaction. But what we can't allow this proliferation of information to do is generate an almost insatiable appetite for more information and more options, which can actually paralyze the system. That's the risk we run, is that you begin to believe that if you just wait a little longer, you'll even have more information, and more information is better information, and it becomes kind of a cycle that is tough to break. When conflict starts out of either fear or honor, and in the case of current conflicts of certain of them, of religion, you know, the ability to manage those conflicts becomes much more difficult, much more challenging. So caution is not a pejorative in my view in the application of force. On the other hand, I mentioned a little earlier that the use of the military instrument is different whether you're dealing with a nation state or a peer competitor or a non or sub-state group. My point is this: if you have a universal bias for inaction, that can become problematic.
Right.
I think you have to balance, given the threat, given the other pressures on the system, in our case, given the other commitments we have, I think you have to be very judicious in balancing your tendency to go into action and your tendency to wait and see if other opportunities present themselves.
Marines, hooah.
You always hear about how Marines are tough and they're first to fight. It made me wonder, do I have what it takes to be a Marine?
I knew I always wanted to be a Marine, but I didn't know if I could live up to the legacy of all those who came before me.
We go out through the nation, we find those young men and women that want the challenge of being Marines, we recruit them, and we make them Marines.
Being called the United States Marine is something earned.
Google Golden Anchor is branded into your heart forever.
Being called a United States Marine is something earned.
Always a Marine.
Being called the United States Marine is something earned, not given.
Being called a United States Marine is something earned, not given.
What made me want to be a Marine was wanting to be able to lead others, but also fight for my country, whether that be actually going into combat or just serving in a way that could help others.
We make Marines, we build teams, we fight and win.
These recruits are entrusted to my care. I will train them to the best of my ability. I will develop them into smartly disciplined, physically fit, basically trained Marines, thoroughly indoctrined in love of corps and country. I will demand of them and demonstrate by my own example the highest standards of personal conduct, morality, and professional skill.
I, Major General, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me. That I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservations, according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. That I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of a Second Lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps. So help me God. So help me God.
From the oldest post of our Corps here in Washington, D.C., and on the eve of our 240th birthday, the Sergeant Major and I want to wish Marines around the world a happy birthday. But more importantly, we hope each of you will have a chance to reflect on our history, remember those who have sacrificed, and reaffirm your commitment to the strengthening of our Corps.
This year also marks 100 years of making Marines at Recruit Depot Parris Island. Our Corps has seen many changes in the previous 100 years and throughout our history. But one thing that hadn't changed is each Marine's commitment to contributing to our great legacy.
Each year during our birthday celebration, we listen to the words of our 13th Commandant, General John A. Lejeune. In his message, he says, "Our legacy is the eternal spirit which has animated our Corps from generation to generation." Marines, I want to reinforce this point. You are the embodiment of that legacy. It's the very foundation of who we are and what we will continue to be.
When we look back at the history of our Corps, we see countless examples of Marines contributing to our past. From our first amphibious raid in New Providence in the Bahamas back in 1776 to the historic Battle of Iwo Jima in 1945.
This year marks the 70th anniversary of the Battle of Iwo Jima, hallowed ground for all Marines. It was there, following 36 days of violent combat, where the world saw the warrior spirit and the will to win of the United States Marine.
In February 1945,
as U.S. forces fought across the Pacific. Their next objective was Iwo Jima.
The young men that I faced on this island were just like me. They were fighting for the Emperor. I was fighting to go home. I never felt anything but comfort as a rifle commander around my troops, because I knew how good they were, how brave they were.
I thank the veterans who sit here among us, and those who today are with us only in spirit.
We tell them that we love them. We honor them for what they did. We tell them we admire their courage. We tell them we still miss them, because we do.
The stories of Corporal Woody Williams and Gunnery Sergeant John Basilone highlight the fighting spirit of Marines at Iwo Jima.
During the day of February the 23rd, the same day the flag went up, the same day that I did the job that resulted in my receiving the Medal of Honor, 2 of those Marines who were protecting me died. They gave all they had and so much more than I did. And yet I'm the guy that's wearing the medal. And I have said I am just the caretaker of it. I don't wear it for what I did. I wear it for what they did.
5 years after the end of World War II, Marines showed their indomitable fighting spirit in Korea at numerous places. None more telling than the seawall at Incheon or the unbearable winter at Chosin Reservoir.
The weather was cold and got colder and colder while we were up there trying to get out of that reservoir area. It was about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning when we started to get hit, and it wasn't North Koreans that was hitting us, it was China.
When the Chinese hit us, we hit back twice as hard. And that was our attitude. The Marines that were there, we didn't go there to face a peace treaty. We went in with the idea of winning the war, and we continued to fight right up to the very last round.
This year also marks the 50-year anniversary of the Marine Corps' first major offensive in Vietnam, Operation Starlight.
And as soon as H Company landed, all you saw was explosions and pow, pow. I mean, people were shooting.
Starlight was the first big, tough battle that these young Marines had to face, and they were going up against a veteran enemy force. If there were any doubts about whether or not this rock and roll generation of Marines from the 1960s would fight, those doubts were erased by Operation Starlight.
Following Vietnam, our Corps benefited greatly from the experienced NCOs and officers who stayed in service and remained dedicated to improving the professionalism of the Marine Corps. The Marines they groomed would refocus the Corps to a more expeditionary mindset, marked by numerous engagements throughout the 80s and 90s. After the attacks on September the 11th, Marines knew that there would be more to do in support of defending our homeland. With sustained combat operations in Afghanistan and Iraq,
House is clear.
a new generation of Marines has built upon the Corps' remarkable heritage. Marines continue to prepare for any crisis and remain ready to deploy as the nation's expeditionary force in readiness.
Get on the wire. Get the ammo can. Ammo can. Go, Poe. Get
The
up.
Sergeant Major and I are reminded daily of our obligation to support and contribute to the legacy of our Corps. These recruits here at Parris Island, like those at San Diego, will soon earn their Eagle Globe and Anchor. Who knows, maybe amongst them is the next Gunnery Sergeant John Basilone or Corporal Woody Williams.
Those Marines became who they are because their dedicated squad leaders and platoon sergeants trained them well. We must continue that transformation, continue the professional development of those Marines, so that when the nation requires men and women of action, they will summon the courage and tap into our great legacy to accomplish the mission, no matter what the odds.
When another Marine says simplify, we're saying we are faithful to each other, to be true to each other.
All Marines seem to be out of the same mold. When the time comes, they'll always be ready. They are able. I'm just so proud to be a Marine.
When we come into the Corps, we're taught certain standards, and being faithful to those standards and to each other is pretty much what Simplify is. Who do you fight for? Who do you really fight for? I love this God, country, Corps. No, it's the unit, the guy. You fight for the Corps first. I don't care what anybody says. God may come second, the country can come third, but you fight for the Corps.
Happy birthday, Marines, wherever you are, deployed in a foreign land facing our nation's foes, at sea with our Navy shipmates underway, training, or with family and friends celebrating our birthday. We must remain ready for that next fight, wherever and whenever and we must continue to uphold the legacy of those that have gone before. And we remain Semper Fidelis.
Air Force, yeah.
We mastered GPS, stealth technology, precision weapons, and unmanned aircraft. We deliver over 53 million meals a year to airmen around the globe. We can see the license plate of a car from 50,000 feet above. We can be anywhere in the world in 30 minutes, traveling at twice the speed of sound. We have hospitals in the sky. We build, launch, and command satellites. We battle 3 million cyber threats in a day. We are first responders for relief efforts around the globe. We don't just defend America. We do the impossible every day.
Thank you, Air Force. Yeah.
It should be a great personal satisfaction to every member of the Air Force. The power of this global strike force is recognized by every nation in the world. The present strategic capability of the Air Force was not built during the daylight hours of a 5-day week, nor by the minds and hands of weak men. On the contrary, every milestone rests on self-sacrifice, on the work of men who, to do their job, refuse to acknowledge existing limitations or 8 to 5 working hours. I'm confident the challenges of the future will be met as they have been met in the past.
Our arms must be mighty, ready for instant action, so that no potential aggressor may be tempted to risk his own destruction.
Coast Guard. Gotta have them. Thanks, guys. small tribute to our servicemen, veterans. Thanks, guys. Let's see what's in the pipeline here. Some of the specs, very low, very shallow draft, no wake if you'll notice, extremely maneuverable and very fast. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, stealth technology. See the angles here. Avoid radar detection.
A private American company located in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Juliet Marine's technologies will dramatically change the marine industry's understanding of propulsion for surface and subsurface, manned and unmanned vessels. Ghost is designed and built to address the growing international threat of combatant swarm attacks, waterborne IEDs, and piracy. Ghost technology is suitable for fleet force protection, special operations, ISR, command and control, and mine warfare and detection. Ghost is a fast, agile, long-range, supercavitating, semi-submersible surface craft. As a small waterplane area twin hull, or swath, it is comprised of three main structures, two movable underwater buoyant tubular foil hulls, and a command module that rides above the water on two thin connecting struts. Ghost has a crew of three, a pilot, a weapons officer, and a crew engineer. Ghost's command module weapons bay, in its current configuration, can accommodate 18 personnel, or cannons and missile technologies, such as the Griffin, APKWS, and Spike, deployed from internal weapons bays or from the skin of the craft, like an attack helicopter. Ghost was developed as a long-range coastal patrol vessel for geographic locations such as the Straits of Hormuz, the Malacca Straits, the South China Sea, the Gulf of Aden, Taiwan, and Korea, and has an extremely long range to accomplish missions and patrols in these areas. Ghost could also be used by the U.S. Coast Guard and other security forces for patrol, rescue, and counter-drug operations. Ghost, in its current configuration, weighs approximately 48,000 pounds. The craft disassembles into three main components: two struts and buoyant tubular foils, and a command module, and can be flown on a C-17 and reassembled in 24 hours with a transport trailer. Ghost can be moved by rail or over the road. Ghost can also be transported and deployed using ships or the well decks of LPDs, LSDs, and...
Now you're talking, huh?
The laser weapon system, LAWS, temporarily installed aboard the guided missile destroyer USS Dewey, DDG-105, San Diego, California, July 30, 2012. Shown here conducting an operational test in San Diego. California is a technology demonstrator built by the Naval Sea Systems Command from commercial fiber solid-state lasers, utilizing combination methods developed at the Naval Research Laboratory. LAWs can be directed onto targets from the radar track obtained from a Mk-15 Phalanx close-in weapon system, or other targeting source. The Office of Naval Research's solid-state laser, SSL, portfolio includes LAWs development and upgrades, providing a quick reaction capability for the fleet with an affordable SSL weapon prototype. This capability provides Navy ships a method for sailors to easily defeat small boat threats and aerial targets without using bullets. U.S. Navy video by Office of Naval Research / released, in what could be a scene from Star Wars. The video released by the Navy shows a large mobile laser gun lock target onto an unmanned drone and instantaneously shoot down the object, which explodes and falls to the sea. Officials said LAWs may initially be used for encounters with antagonizing small boats and vessels, which Iran has been known to operate, that pose a threat to larger Navy ships. But the high-powered new technology could eventually be used to combat airborne threats, including missiles and drones.
Especially since its line-of-sight unlimited range.
The firepower released from LAWs, in the form of a high-powered infrared laser, can strike down drones in...
One thing you want to look here at, Tesla laser weapon system. Wait a minute, Tesla. There's that guy again.
Seconds flat, officials demonstrated in a video simulation. Navy officials will install the high-powered laser weapon on the USS Ponce, which is responsible for naval operations in the Persian Gulf area and the Horn of Africa, over the next year, according to NBC News. The laser will become fully operational by summer 2014. Nikola Tesla, scientist and electrical engineer, invented Tesla coils, alternating current electric generators, and was a major early pioneer of radio technology. He also developed what he called a teleforce weapon. The press called it a death ray. The year 1918, Tesla apparently had a laser-like apparatus that he shot at the moon. From studying his great 1893 work, the inventions, researches and writings of Nikola Tesla had all of the components necessary to create a laser beam. This lamp was so constructed so as to place a piece of matter such as carbon, or a diamond or a ruby, in the center, and bombard this button with electrical energy that would bounce off the button onto the inside of the globe and bounce back onto the button. If this were a ruby, and Tesla specifically worked with rubies, then is exactly how a ruby laser is created. Tesla refers in inventions to a pencil-thin line of light that was created with this device. It is my belief that Tesla not only invented the ruby laser in 1893, but he also demonstrated it and published its results. Tesla also created the particle beam HAARP death ray earthquake weapon scalar wave technology. Scalar waves, also referred to as Tesla waves, are longitudinal waves, are capable of penetrating any solid object. Narration by the Reptilian Resistance.
Yeah. There we go. Laser weaponry. It's happening. Navy USS Independence back in 2010. Tri-hull, stealth. I can see right where they're going to put the LARS, the laser. No, not micro drones or nano.
Micro air vehicles, or MAVs, will play an important role in future warfare. The urban battlefield calls for tools to increase the warfighter's situational awareness and capacity to engage rapidly, precisely, and with minimal collateral damage. MAVs will be integrated into future Air Force layered sensing systems. These systems may be airdropped or hand-launched depending on the mission requirements. The small size of MAVs allows them to be hidden in plain sight. Once in place, an MAV can enter a low-powered extended surveillance mode for missions lasting days or weeks. This may require the MAV to harvest energy from environmental sources, such as sunlight or wind, or from man-made sources, such as power lines and vibrating machinery. It will blend in with its surroundings and operate undetected. MAVs will use microsensors and microprocessor technology to navigate and track targets through complicated terrain, such as urban areas. An MAV operating in urban terrain will have more agility challenges than larger UAVs. Obstructions can cause wind gusts, even on a calm day. One way to overcome this is to learn from examples in nature and use flapping wings to fly. Sensing an oncoming gust, feedback control directs the wings to flap asymmetrically, compensating for the wind. Small size and agile flight will enable MAVs to covertly enter locations inaccessible by traditional means of aerial surveillance. MAVs will use new forms of navigation, such as a vision-based technique called optic flow. This system remains robust when traditional methods, such as GPS, are unavailable. Multiple MAVs, each equipped with small sensors, will work together to survey a large area. Information from these sensors will be combined, providing the swarm of MAVs with a big picture point of view. Data will be communicated amongst the MAVs to enable real-time, reliable decision-making and to provide an overall surveillance picture for other platforms or operators. Each individual MAV may perform a very distinct mission from its fellow swarm members. While some MAVs may be used purely for visual reconnaissance, others may be used for targeting or tagging of sensitive locations. Individual MAVs may perform direct attack missions and can be equipped with incapacitating chemicals, combustible payloads, or even explosives for precision targeting capability. MAVs may carry sensors to detect chemical, biological, or radiation threats and relay this information to human operators or to other unmanned platforms. Like their biological inspiration, MAVs are not limited to flight. The agile hovering, perching, and crawling MAV will fulfill the mission popularly termed dull, dirty, and dangerous, like no current system can. MAVs will become a vital element in the ever-changing warfighting environment and will help ensure success on the battlefield of the future. Unobtrusive, pervasive, lethal, micro-air vehicles, enhancing the capabilities of the future warfighter.
Yeah.